Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Let's head over to Mitch Joel. You know him and love him, tech advisor, investor, author of CTRL ALT Delete. He's also the founder of ThinkersOne. Hi, Mitch.
Hey, Elias. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Listen, you were supposed to be on the program yesterday, and then Christopher Freeland decided to resign from government, and you got the old boot. I'd be remiss if you before we get to the tech topic at hand, you want to opine on politics, I'll give you the floor. I feel bad we bumped you off. You have anything to say there? You can take a pass as well.
Well, look, we are in a sordid state of terrible communications. We are in a world where we've been exposed to so much transparency and technology and speed by which messages move from here to there that I just don't even know where to put myself to not hear the Prime Minister come out and speak, to hear the Prime Minister then speak at the Laurier Club in this world of everything is perfect and little speed bumps along the way, to here we sit. I don't know where we're at today, but I haven't heard much out of their office or from this leader. I think what we're looking for is more human connection. This is what we're used to. It's what we want to hear. And I just hope that politics everywhere, not just the Liberal government, really shift in that direction.
So I just want to point out one last thing from today that is tech related that I want to discuss with you actually. And that is, I think X proved that it is still the place. And there had been times where I'm like, I'm not so sure. Is X going to be the place for the breaking news stuff? And the old Twitter, it really did excel. I mean, just about the only person that I actually was interested in hearing their comment, and it didn't happen on X, Catherine McKenna, former Liberal minister, she's posting on Blue Sky, but then screen capping it and then posting it to X. I guess she knows that's where people are. And then Donald Trump, of course, with opining on Truth Social at the end of the night. What about that? You know, the reports that Twitter ain't the place, X ain't the place anymore for breaking news. Do you think yesterday proved that wrong?
Not only did it prove it wrong, I think it also really shows the growing gap culturally between the US and Canada. And I think that in the US, there's a much harsher line when it comes to people like Elon Musk versus what we see up here. I was just listening to your segment on electric cars and Tesla. I don't really have to worry about my Tesla getting scratched up here because someone doesn't like Elon or Donald up here.
Yeah.
And I also think what's an interesting cultural thing is amazing that someone's posting on Blue Sky or Trump's on True Social. It is immediately shared in X. Yeah. The time between post and then somebody else sharing it or jumping on it is practically milliseconds. So does it even matter would be a more interesting question.
Okay, so Mitch, let's get to the reason you were booked on this program. I want to talk about this new study, and it basically shows half of U.S. teens, they are basically always online. It is eat, sleep, screen. Your thoughts? I don't know if you want to dive into numbers specifically, but maybe numbers just bog this down. What are your thoughts on this study, and is it as bad as this study says it is?
Well, we need to zoom out and recognize that this comes from Pew Research Center, a very, very reliable source in their Teen Social Media and Technology 2024 report. And yeah, I think what it is proving is not that we're connected, it's that we are almost constantly using it. And this is the difference. We were always connected for decades. We've always talked about that. But now what they're saying is they're almost constantly using it. And in particular, what we're seeing here in the lead is YouTube at 73% in terms of daily and ongoing. And again, 15% of people who are at that 73% are saying almost constant, meaning it is essentially, whether it's active, we're watching it, or it's just wallpaper running in the background. And so, yes, we know that teens are more digitally connected than ever before. It's not slowing down. What we're seeing is it's more than connected. It's the consumption that continually is increasing. And I I think it's interesting to note here that what it also shows is that most teens have a smartphone and use social media, and that this shift is a massive cultural shift for all of us because it's both media and communications, and it's changing the habits in a huge way.
So I want to point one thing out. When I did my 3-week trip, that U.S. State Department trip where I traveled the U.S., one of our stops in D.C. was with the Pew Research Center. They are nonpartisan. I asked them some questions about, hey, how do you make sure you don't get ideologically captured on either side? And boy, they had a really interesting answer about how they try and make sure that their staff is representative. They do a tremendous research into religion as well. Should point that out. So I kind of do trust these numbers from Pew more than perhaps some other places. And the one thing I'm thinking about, Mitch, is in the future. I'm looking at the gigantic TVs we have in this studio. My living room has a gigantic TV. Then I see maybe, younger people where it is all about the glowing rectangle in the hands, and they don't even need to have the large glowing rectangle in the corner of the room anymore. And I just wonder how that plays out long term. Like what happens when these teens are adults with their own teens? What is everyone doing in the house? Is there any communal activities? Is it just everyone sitting next to each other on the couch with their own individual screen? That's something I worry about or have concerns over. I don't know how you view that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think often about the fact that digital natives are not like digital immigrants like you and I. What this research report really illuminated is how big that gap is. And so you're absolutely right. Listen, years ago, one of my keynote things wasn't about mobile usage versus fixed usage. It was what's happening in the home. And if you look at this research report, it's exactly where you're stating. 98% of the usage is happening in the home on the smartphone. 88% would be computers, laptops, gaming consoles, by the way, 83%, very, very close to computers. But here's where you see this real big difference, which is 78% of teens where the annual income in the house is less than $30,000 have access to a computer, tablet, or something like this. So the answer is exactly what you're thinking, which is, look, could we have a revolt like in the movie Dune, where we shut down the AIs and don't let it use it, or we go to these cafes where we're only reading books analog? We might. But what we are seeing, to me, this might be one of those moments where we're looking at the data and seeing, wow, these are going to be a very, very different future generations.
Any thoughts on the platform usage? Because I know the Pew study looks at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and X and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any thoughts on the individual platforms and how they're faring?
No, I mean, I think we always see what we know. TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat really are rounding out the list of the top platforms. I think it is surprising, by the way, that YouTube was number one. That was kind of a big awakening to me. Not surprising to see Facebook and X a little bit more on the outs with teens. So again, back to our first conversation about X being the place. We'll see if that lays true in the coming years. But in general, to me, the big surprise was ultimately, wow, good on you, YouTube. YouTube is TV, movies, music, communication, connection. We have to wake up to this.
Yeah, and it is for me, one of now the subscriptions I pay for to get rid of the ads on YouTube. I pay for that subscription. It has become that valuable. Okay, Mitch, be well. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Elias. Speak to you soon.
The founder of ThinkersOne, that's Mitch Joel right there.